The following program is for entertainment purposes only. Please gamble responsibly. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem, crisis counseling and referral services can be accessed by calling 1-800-GAMBLER. You must be 21 years or older and present in a state where wagering is legal. All bets that are placed are at your own risk. Welcome to the deep end of the sportsbook. This is Unnecessary Wagers, an original production of the Empty the Bench Network. This is the show where the mainstream lines are just the starting point, and no prop is too obscure to be ignored. We look through to find the value in the margins and the wins lying in the weeds. So, to help you find your way to the window, here are two guys who never see a long shot they don't like. Please welcome your hosts, Conor Rowland and Nate Miller.
Hello and happy Friday, everybody. It is me today, just a solo show. So you just got your boy Redmayne here. My name's Connor, for those of you who are just joining us. I'm glad we made it to the weekend, We're finally on football, so I can look forward to that. I've been in withdrawal. My brother likes to give me a lot of shit because I get overly excited about preseason football. And the reasons are you get to see your rookies, you get to see how your picks played out, and more importantly, you get to see some fucking football. So with that, on today's show, I'm really going to spend some time to dive into MLB. Obviously, we've got a few games going on today. We missed the earlier games. And then we'll be moving straight on into the NFL futures. Things that I think we should look forward to. As a whole, you should never really bet on preseason football. But a bunch of you are degenerate gamblers, so you're probably going to. And with that in mind, I'll make some recommendations that if you have to bet on preseason, like if you feel the incurable urge that I gotta lay down, an over or under, I'll be going into a few little tips. Preseason's dicey. It always is. I gotta say though, I was thrilled to see the Lions play yesterday. We got to see our defensive edge that we picked up, Ahmed Hassanin, I believe his name is. He goes into this interview in preseason. He goes, yeah, first thing I'm doing when I go up against the Bengals is I'm sacking Joe Burrow. And you're like, all right, your kid's got spirit. He's got heart. He's the guy we picked up in the draft. We definitely need an edge rusher. So, or defensive end, I believe his position is. And so I was like, all right, yeah, good for him. Good for him. And then the game starts. First snap of the game, and he fucking sacks Joe Burrow. So I couldn't really be mad, man. I'm pretty happy, So we'll be going into the NFL futures. But to start, let's dive into some baseball. For those of you that have been doing quite well with baseball, congratulations. I've been so cold. Cold in the sense that 80% of my parlay will hit. Perfect example. Yesterday, the Brewers, all they had to do was finish out. They had to finish out one game. It was not yesterday, it was 2 days ago. They went to overtime. All they had to do was win. They get one run up. Great. Everything's beautiful. And then they bring in this guy, Santazella, and this dude hits the first guy with the pitch, walks the second, third pitch. They just fucking slam it and they lose. So I've been hot with my underdog picks, but cold in my parlays because I always end up sinking on that last one. And obviously, if you're no stranger to betting, you'll always have that familiar feeling of why did I add that fucking leg? So maybe we'll get lucky this weekend. I've been, as I said, I've been cold when it comes to the parlays as a whole. My underdogs have been hot. But with that in mind, I think now is a perfect time for us to get into the games ahead of us. We got Marlins versus Reds. We got Sandy on the bump for the Marlins and Reds Chase Burns. Now, me and Nate both agree that the Marlins are this weird team where they can play up to the skill level of who they're going up against. So if they go up against a good team, they play good. And if they play up against a bad team, they play like shit. Sometimes maybe good, sometimes maybe shit. But the thing is that the Reds are sometimes maybe good, sometimes maybe shit team. So I don't even know how to classify the Reds, especially with Chase Burns on the bump. He's obviously a competent pitcher. So this rear game really could go both ways. And the odds show that they only have the Marlins at plus 104. So it's a slight underdog. I would take the Marlins in this instance, guys. And I would go on to say that they are a favorable spread. 1.5 to 166. If the Marlins play good, generally speaking, when the Marlins win, it's not usually a close game. Like I said, they're either hot or cold. And so I take the Marlins on this one. And they also happen to be a risky spread of mine. Red Sox versus Pirates is hard only because Red Sox were super hot. And now they're starting to enter this slump period. So I'd stay away from the Red Sox. If you want to take player props on there, by all means, go for it. But this is a game that I would stay away from. Also because I don't have any great faith in the Pirates at all to any degree. I know that's going to kill Nate, wherever he is. But the truth is the Pirates kind of suck. That's just me. That's just where I'm coming from. Up next is the White Sox versus the Tigers. This one's a little bit more difficult because Tigers are hot. We know that. So are the White Sox. But Sean Newcomb is a bit of an anomaly for us for a pitcher. Before this, he's pretty much only played as a relief pitcher. And across the last 10 games, his strikeouts are 1, 1, 2, 0, 0, 1, 1, 1, 2, 0. So pretty low strikeouts, even as a relief pitcher. Jackson Joby, on the other hand, is at 4.5. That's his average. So my whole thing is if you get over 4.5 strikeouts, as long as your ERA is underneath 2.39, 2.45, you're an average pitcher. You're pretty all right. So the Tigers do have an all right guy coming onto the bump. Sean Newcomb, a bit of an anomaly. We don't know where he's been at. We don't know what he's going to do. So that makes the White Sox an underdog. Now, I kind of like that because I have a lot of faith in the offensive core of the White Sox. I took the White Sox. I don't know if that's a safe bet, though. Only in the sense that we don't know what Sean Newcomb is going to do. So if you're looking for a sure thing, I would step away from the White Sox. I think it's likely that the Tigers win this game. But if you're looking for a risky underdog, I mean, you can't go much riskier than a pitcher nobody's really seen him do anything on. So I would take the White Sox as a risky underdog, and Tigers if you're looking to just stay a little bit on the safer side. Nationals versus Mets. This is one of my favorite matchups tonight because the team that I really do think is going to win, the Nationals, are the underdog. I like the Nationals so much. I also took the over for the pitcher, Andrew Alvarez. The reason why is the Mets are just super inconsistent, and a lot of teams right now are inconsistent, but even when they're hot, they still lose. Even when the Mets are on, it's still a game that they can lose. There are a lot of inconsistent teams like the Marlins. When they're hot, they're going to win the game, So I would take the Nationals over the Mets. I would definitely take the over on Andrew Alvarez. I did on 4 of my bets. I don't know if you'd want to take the under, but Robert Stock's average is 3.5. That's the over. That's the under. If you can't get over 3.5, if you can't average over 3.5, you're a bum. I really don't know how else to say it. So take that information what you will. Padres versus the Guardians. Automatically, I'm going to root for the Guardians. Got Gavin Williams on the bump. Sure, the Padres got Michael King, but it's the fucking Guardians, man. They did get their dicks kicked in yesterday, so that's kind of tragic. But, Gavin Williams. So I think Gavin Williams is a fair pick. I think Cleveland Guardians is a fair pick. Orioles versus Rays. I really don't know who to pick here because the Rays got Steven Matz on the bump. They should win it. But every time I bet on the Rays recently, they've shat the bed. So I really don't know if I'm the problem. So I'll tell you what, guys. I'll take the Orioles. You all take the Rays. And if I am the curse, then congratulations. You guys just got yourself an instant lock. Look at that. Garrett Cole versus the Blue Jays. And I say Garrett Cole versus the Blue Jays because that's really what it's going to come down to, in my opinion. The Yankees, the Yankees are still struggling. Garrett Cole is pretty much going to be holding it down for the Yankees. I feel like this is going to be a low scoring game. Low scoring in the sense that the over and under right now for runs is 8. I think like bumping that up to 11 is a little bit of a safer bet. Now you could say, well, no shit, an under on 11 is pretty easy to achieve. Sure, but if you're building a parlay and minus 11 is like 280, not really hurting yourself any great by putting that in there. Once you get to like 340, 350, 360, it's really not giving you much to your overalls unless you have like an 8-leg parlay going. Arizona Diamondbacks and the Braves. It's hard. It really is because I think Chris Sale's kind of a dog shit pitcher. Now his average is 6.5. That's true. And Brandon Pafats, if I'm saying that right, is 3.5. But earlier in the season when I used to bet on Chris Sale, he would just like shit the bed for me. So I know statistically he is good and he's definitely better than Brandon. I would definitely take the Braves. I just have a bad taste in my mouth from every time he's like cooked one of my parlays. And I have a tendency to do that, guys, especially when it comes to football. You know, whoever makes my parlays come true, whoever puts bread in my fucking pocket gets drafted onto my fantasy team the following season. That's just the way this mercenary system works, man. And when it comes to baseball, if you kill enough of my parlays, me and my entire familial line from here to the end of time will revile you. We'll hate you. It doesn't matter. You're trash. You're a bum. I don't care if you go on to cure cancer. You cooked my parlay one too many times. There's no coming back from that. So bet on the Braves for a safe pick, and stat-wise, Chris Sale is better than Brandon. I'm just not touching that game. Mariners versus Astros. The Mariners should win this, especially with George Kirby on the bump, but the Mariners have also been pretty bad lately. I'm not saying the Astros have been good. I would take the Mariners over the Astros. The Royals and the Angels, this is such a bum game that I'm not going to bet on it. I'm not even going to watch it. Like, if you're building a parlay, guys, and you're looking to get something, you stand to gain nothing from this game. It's 109 for the Royals and plus 101 for Angels. It's so neck and neck. Go pick another game. For those who are dead set on, no, this is the game that I'm going to. This is the one that I'm picking. You know, we'll go into the pitcher's box. Grayson Rodriguez averages 5.5 overs. Seth Lugo 4.5 is his over. So I would take the under on Seth, honestly. No, yeah, I'd take the under on Seth. I don't know how confident I am on that. I'm not the pitcher guy. Nate always was. I only take them if I like absolutely got a feeling. But again, I have every intention of ignoring this game and pretending it's not existing. So hate to break it to you there, Bell. Rangers and Athletics. The Athletics went on like a crazy losing streak recently. I'm sure they're going to come back around, but both teams are negative 103 and negative 104. From a betting perspective, you don't stand to this is so much of a 50-50 that it almost is not incentivized for you to bet on it. Gage Jump is on the bound for the bump. Gage Jump is on the bump along with Kumar Rocker. For the Rangers, Gage is 5.5 over. Kumar's 4.5 over. I think the Rangers have been kind of ass lately in their offensively speaking. So I would take if you were to ask me what I would do pitcher wise, I'd probably take the over on Gage. But that's not because I have faith in Gage. It's just what I've been noticing production wise come out from the Rangers camp. Brewers versus Dodgers. I love my Brewers, and loyalty demands that I bet on them, and they would be a risky underdog at plus 166. But Yoshinobu Yamamoto averages better than Robert Gasser plays when he's doing good. So it's hard to make that claim. The guy Yamamoto just has to play average to play better than the Brewers starting pitcher. That's tough. That's really tough. The only way I really see the Brewers winning is if Yamamoto plays bad early, Brewers come out swinging, and Robert Gasser plays good for how he normally plays. His average isn't going to cut it against the Dodgers. The Dodgers would be the safe pick. The Mill Brewers would be that risky underdog. I usually provide 4 risky underdogs every show. So far we've got the Brewers as a risky underdog. We've got the Nationals as a risky underdog, the White Sox as a risky underdog, and the Marlins as a risky underdog. But keep in mind, the Marlins is only a plus 104, so it's a pretty tight, tight margin there. Then we've got the Rockies versus Giants. Now, fuck the Giants. All they've ever done is fuck up my parlays. They have done it with such malicious and intentional intent that I feel like when I make a bet slip and it includes any sort of game that the Giants are playing on, they look at that shit like it's a Subway from Jersey Mike's and their name is fucking Mike. They just have their way with my goddamn parlay. So with that in mind, I'm staying so far away from the Giants game. With Landon on the bump, they're going to keep him there the entire game because that's all they do when Landon's playing. They keep that guy in there for like 7 innings and a cattle prod. Like, that's how they do it. So if you guys want to take the over on Landon, it would make sense. He plays almost the whole fucking game anyway. I am kind of curious to see what his over is. Yeah, it's 5.5. So he has to get 6 strikeouts in like 7 innings. I think he can do it. He's going up against the Rockies. The Rockies have Kyle Freeland. He's pretty decent, I would say. 5.5 is a good average. And I have seen him play against much better teams, and then the Rockies come out the winner. So, I would hazard all of you guys from taking a stab at this game. But if you are taking Landon's overs when he plays for a majority of the fucking game, seems like a pretty safe bet. With that in mind, we've just finished up the baseball picks for the rest of the day. So to give you guys a quick rundown, in case you're just tuning in, I'll just run right through it. It is Marlins, skip on the Red Sox, White Sox, Nationals, Guardians, Rays, Yankees, Braves, Mariners, skip on the Royals, skip on the Athletics. I want to say skip on the Dodgers because it hurts me too much to say the Dodgers against the Brewers. You know what? Fuck it. I'm a fan. I can say that. Yeah, it's the Brewers. Fuck you, Dodger fans. And then Landon Rupp, I would just take his over. I refuse to take a money line while the Giants are playing. They perform black magic on my parlay slips. There's a voodoo doll somewhere out there of my bank account, and they're beating the fuck out of it in the dugout. So with that in mind, we're almost at the 30-minute mark. We're at 23 minutes in, and I am going to be getting into our favorite spreads for the games. Now that we just ran them off, we just rattled them off. The favorite spreads is pretty limited because I only find a few that I like here. I like the Marlins spread. I like the Nationals spread. I like the Guardians spread. I would take the Mariners spread. I'd take the Mariners spread. I may be a fucking idiot for doing so, but I'd take it. That's a few good spreads. Again, we didn't get to do all the baseball games today because some of them already started and ended. And I also don't want to dip my hand too far into the cookie jar. While we're talking about favorite spreads, I will jump into preseason, going straight into football. As I said, you shouldn't bet on preseason, but if you are absolutely determined to, I'm going to talk about a couple of things that you want to be mindful of when you bet on preseason. And it's about choosing a topic or a genre of a bet where the likelihood is statistically. This sounds so dumb because I'm basically saying, oh, when you're sports betting, you want to pick something that's statistically likely. I'm like the fucking John Madden of sports betting over here. You see, when the man throws the ball, he's really going to want to get it to the wide receiver so he can get into the end zone. And that's how you create a touchdown. Yeah, no shit. When it comes to sports betting preseason, however, you want to limit how specific you're going. You don't want to take money lines because teams tend to just kind of give up and start experimenting. I personally, when I am betting preseason, I'll take a team to get a rushing touchdown. I'll take an over to be like an over 13 points. Simple shit like that. Nothing crazy, nothing outlandish. Very rarely will I ever take a money line on a preseason, and very rarely do I even bet on preseason. So, when it comes to favorite spreads for preseason, that's even trickier. I'm looking at this right now. I'm looking at the Bucks, the Broncos, the Dolphins. Here's something I find interesting. The under for the Broncos-Falcons game is 40.5. And I think only one game yesterday got an over of 40, I think. So I really don't see the Broncos or the Falcons putting up 20 points both respectively. So I would take the under on that game. That's another thing that I wouldn't mind, taking is unders. For the spreads themselves for these games, I would ignore the Jets and Bucks game. I would ignore the Broncos and Falcons game. I took 8.5 on the Commanders game, plus 8.5. The Commanders are the underdog. They are not starting their starters. The Dolphins are. So we get to see some Malik Willis. Keep in mind, guys, Malik Willis is a rush-heavy QB. He's really got some wheels on him. He makes magic happen. So taking the Dolphins for a rushing touchdown wouldn't be unreasonable, considering the only two people they got on their team that's actually competent is Malik Willis, the QB they just brought in, who likes to rush it, and their running back, who they just paid an insane amount of money to, and he's not really that good. I think it's Jalen Warren is the name. I'm not really a huge Dolphins guy, so you'll forgive me if I don't know the name. I would. Oh, hold on. Update. I think the Dolphins game just got rained out or something. It's odd. Give me a second, folks. Looking at my phone here, and it's not letting you bet on the game anymore. So usually that means, nope, it's just a glitch. It's still there. Okay. So I would take with the Commanders being the underdog, the Dolphins starting their starters. I don't know how successful those starters are going to be, and I also don't really know how long they're going to keep them in for. I have to assume it's not going to be crazy long with a really limited roster of good players. They're not going to throw them on the sacrificial pyre that is a useless fucking preseason game. So I took spread-wise, I took Commanders at plus 8.5. I'm hoping that this is a field goal mostly game. I did take the Dolphins for a rushing touchdown because of Malik Willis. I also took a rushing touchdown for the Buccaneers. I'll get into that in a moment, but as far as favorable spreads go, you just heard my MLB ones. There's only one I have for tonight in regards to tonight's games of football, which is the Commanders at 8.5. There are a few games over the weekend that you may want to do a similar look at if you are going to bet preseason in terms of unders for totals. But I'll be tweeting those out, so be sure to follow me on X. Really, still Twitter in my head. Going to NFL futures, this is something I really want a lot of players in the sense of sports bettors to pay attention to. People shit on the preseason as useless, and I agree. It, for the most part, it's where teams work out kinks, make sure they get plays right, see what they got in their picks. But that's the most important part right there. You're getting a sneak peek of what the future of this team looks like. And the reason why I say future, I don't mean just the rookies. I mean, the injury bug comes for every team eventually, no matter what, throughout the season. Your star wide receiver goes down. The tight end that carries your entire offensive core, Tucker Kraft, goes out. Shit like that happens. And then all of a sudden, they bring in the second string that hasn't seen really any real usage the whole season because you've had a beast in the starting position. Why would you need to? This is why preseason matters, because this is where you're going to see that guy play. So when that injury definitely does happen to your team, because it happens to all teams every season, you'll already know what kind of beast you're dealing with. And if you pay attention in the preseason and that happens later on in the season, you're going to feast because you know what this guy's capable of. Last season when Sam Laporta went down and they put in Isaac Slaw, I knew Isaac was a dog. And I was spending like $100 on him to score a touchdown when he was like at plus 750. And he was starting and he would get me touchdowns. It's a great way to look into the future of the season and say, okay, should the worst happen? Should Bijan Robinson go down? What are we working with? Should they finally take Rachaad White, that fucking bum of a player, off first string and put in Sean Tucker? What are we looking at? And it also it's helpful because you get to see how your backup QBs are going to play, especially if you have a fragile QB like Daniels does, like Burrow. I wouldn't call Herbert fragile, but he seems to hurt his hand kind of often. Often in the sense that last season he kept on shaking it out a lot. So whatever injury he did sustain to there seems to linger. So this is a great chance for you to see how your team's going to operate once those injuries inevitably happen, because they're going to. I'm sorry, my cat is screaming at me. Come on, stop screaming. So, there we go. I would also say that it's good to look at back to the rookie standpoint, because it lets you know, okay, 2 years from now, 3 years from now, where are we at? Where's our holes? And then at the end of the day, I think it's a great time to reflect on how certain programs are evolving. Like case in point, the Cardinals. I think the Cardinals aren't going to be bad. Divisionally, they're going to suck because they're in a really tough division with the Rams and the Seahawks. But I think they're going to play actually a little bit surprisingly. So much that I would say if you're looking for a reliable underdog for out-of-division games this upcoming season, the Cardinals would be one. Cowboys would be one. I don't imagine them being underdogs throughout the season, but, a lot of people still think Cowboys defense is going to suck. I think it's going to come out very strong. Sorry, my cat is knocking shit over now. Can you stop? Sorry, it's really hard. 1 second. Anyway, I think it's going to be a great time to just take a look and see what we have coming up. I'll just wrap it up with that and move on to the four-leggers. With four-leggers, it's pretty easy. I would take the Nationals. I would take the Alvarez over. I'd take the Commanders spread of 8.5, and I would take either Dolphins for a rushing touchdown or the Guardians spread. Those are my 4 picks, but I did have quite a few four-leggers pre-built that I'd wanted to run by you guys. They flip-flop if you want to go more football heavy versus baseball heavy, but this is what another couple options that you could take a look at if you so choose. Marlins spread, White Sox W, Nationals spread, Guardians spread. That's a risky one. That's just straight gas. And then we're going to jazz it up even further, and we're going to say Buccaneers rushing touchdown. That's a 5-legger. So little razzle-dazzle on there. You could also do Dolphins rushing touchdown, Bucks rushing touchdown, Commanders 8.5 spread, and then of the baseball line, do whatever you think's most likely. Keep it safe, keep it lean, $28 isn't really at that construction would probably run you somewhere in the ballpark of like $330 to $580 depending what you pick for your baseball pick. I probably would like to include at least one spread because I just think I think it's nice. I think it's neat. You need a little bit of risk anytime you do some shit like this. Otherwise, I know there are some gamblers out there that only like to take sure bets, but I never really understood the sure bet betting, because are you really going to risk like $80 to make $20 in profit? I fucking wouldn't. Four-leggers that I think are cursed and made from hell. I always chuckle at them. It's because they're the suggested DraftKings bet. For the record, don't ever take a DraftKings suggested bet. There's no way a casino is going to give you what you need to win money from them. That shit's not happening, dog. So don't ever pick from that shit. Like, here's one that I think is fucking terrible. Gavin Williams, 7+ strikeouts. Chris Sale, 7+ strikeouts. Chase Burns, 7+ strikeouts. Sandy Alcantara, 7+ strikeouts. I keep on saying Alcatraz with him. Yeah, that's fucking coked up. That's a terrible pick. That's like if you trained an AI module to make bets for the purpose of bankrupting an economic class. So ignore those shits. I shouldn't have to tell you guys this, because I'm sure you've all watched or done sports betting a lot for you to end up here. But just a PBA, FanDuel, DraftKings, wherever you're betting on, ignore their sponsored bets. They're horseshit. I'm going to circle back to four-leggers in a little bit, because I did want to take some time to talk about just some basic football news. It's not so much of a drama. It's not really turning into anything yet, but I'm sure you guys have all seen that Jaden Daniels or someone in his camp is suing LSU, or setting a cease and desist to LSU because they're going to let someone else use their number. More than two things, but two things I want to get to immediately. The guy that they got coming in to LSU, DJ Pickett, is one of the most sought after recruits in the nation right now. If everything they say about this guy is true, and stat-wise, he plays out like he's supposed to, he will be better or as good as Jaden Daniels. Jaden Daniels, to me, his biggest W was winning the Heisman. Now, I'm not downplaying that and saying, oh, all you do is win the Heisman. But you don't really have any championships that I know that to speak of that I know of. I don't watch a lot of college ball. Let me just look this up. Jaden Daniels college champs. Nope. Yeah, he did not win a college football championship. He just got the Heisman. Now, I'm not saying just the Heisman, even though I did just say just the Heisman. But if LSU wasn't even willing to retire fucking Joe Burrow's number, what crack are you smoking that will make you think that they'll retire yours? It doesn't make sense. And DJ Pickett, if he's got the stuff, he's got the stuff. Now, I always like to talk about football news in a football betting channel for one reason and one reason only. Sometimes the news indicates to something larger at play that will affect game. In this particular instance, I don't think it is. Not to say that it's the mom. I'm not trying to be a mom hater. I love my mom. I love your guys' mom. Shout out to all the moms. But Jaden Daniels' mom fucking plays the field better than any defensive edge rusher I've ever seen. She guards Jaden Daniels with the zeal and ferocity that I can only link to a dragon sitting on top of their horde. Now, I'm not calling Jaden's mom's a reptile or a dragon or anything. I'm just saying that we have seen this kind of behavior in the past where she has aggressively protected Jaden Daniels and his business interests across the board. That's a great person to have in your camp, especially when a lot of football players have people that are just suggesting to spend their money willy-nilly or to spend it on stupid shit or to be a stupid shit. But, at the same token, this is buzz. This is noise. This is chatter. You don't want to hear it. If I'm a Commanders fan and I saw this shit, I'd probably be shaking my head and being like, just wrap this shit up before the season starts. I do feel bad now that I think about it for Brandon Ayuk and Jaden Daniels, because Jaden Daniels must be getting voicemail after voicemail with 90s R&B blasting and Brandon just crying in the background. And I feel bad for Brandon because I legitimately still believe that he could have gone to the Commanders. I think he would have been good there. And I think he's having a mental episode. I do have to give props to Stephon Diggs. The reason why I have to give props to Stephon Diggs is he slided in at a perfect time. He found an opportunity. He took the chance. It worked out great. And I think Stephon has a lot of gas left in the tank, you know? I do know he's going through some legal troubles where apparently this person is suing him in civil court, not criminal. So that's one thing. But this guy suing Stephon and his brother because apparently, I struggle to get the details on this right because the implications, not to quote Always Sunny in Philadelphia, but the implications are alarming. Anyway, she's suing him in civil court because he's claiming that his brother and himself drugged him and sexually assaulted him. I have a brother. That's my homie, my best friend. I would not Eiffel Tower a dude with my brother. Under no circumstance of any world, of any reality, even in a reality in which I would be gay, I would not Eiffel Tower a man with my brother. So it was really jarring to read the news about that and then find out that the brother chose to settle immediately. Stephon decided to fight it. And then the same exact day, it was reported that his lawyer, the victim's lawyer, turned over 1,200 text, pictures, and emails. So clearly they have a case. Clearly they have something. Is this going to affect Stephon in the league? Probably. He didn't. He played great when with the Patriots when he was going through the whole personal chef chokeslam me onto his bed bullshit. But it sucks because I do think Stephon's got a lot of gas left in the tank. I just, the Commanders wanted to avoid a headache. They wanted to avoid drama, so they didn't get Brandon Ayuk. And so they got the guy that's getting civilly sued or civilly charged, not even charged, but brought to civil court for fucking another guy with his brother while they drugged him. That don't make no sense. Brandon Ayuk's just fucking weird. Stephon's a bit of a predator, but I think Stephon was a good pickup for the Commanders. The NFL has this policy of looking at just how can you perform on the field. That's all we care about. Don't put dirt on our name. And if you look at that same lens, Stephon is going to have production for the Commanders. Speaking of players that have a lot of drama, and this last one, this guy here had me folded up in my chair like fucking Shinji from Neon Genesis. Just gut pain, man. Real heartache. Terrion Arnold decided that he liked Saints Row 3, the video game, so much. He was like, I'm going to do this shit in real life. I just watched Power. I'm Kanan or I'm Ghost. I'm going to fuck this guy up for robbing me. The Lions cut him almost immediately. Rightfully so, I guess. The evidence against him is damning. I said, c'est la vie. That's the end of that guy's football career. That sucks. Tell me why the Seattle Seahawks picked him up. What the fuck, man? Does that mean he's good? Does that mean like that he's going to play? Because why would the Seahawks pick this guy up if he's already got 5 fucking wanted stars in GTA? So I have to tell myself that the Lions jumped the gun early. Somehow he's going to play this season. And the Seahawks got a really good cornerback. So I'm fucking heartbroken. We had Trayvon Diggs from the Cowboys try out for us a few weeks ago. That's how fucking bad it is in the cornerback room for the Lions. Kudos to the Seahawks, I guess, for getting somebody that managed to escape jail time. I'm fucking miserable about it. I'm tight. These are all things that I've been thinking about as I'm watching these preseason. I want to just give a shout out to the Giants since we just spent so much time talking about the Commanders. I think the Giants have an incredible team put together, right? Really do. Before they even had the Harbaugh effect where Harbaugh came to Giants and ripped out like a third of the Ravens defensive structure. The issue is the Giants have one of the hardest schedules of the season, I personally think. I think if you're a Giants fan, you're going to want to watch really closely how the Commanders play and how the Eagles play, because those are probably going to be your two easiest wins in your division, in my opinion. Give me a sip of my drink here. It's quite nice. I think that if you are looking to bet on this preseason, you need to limit your risks. Take safe stuff. Take a spread of plus 13.5. Take an over for 13.5. Fuck. Take a rushing touchdown when you know all the team does is rush. Make it a parlay pattern. Don't build a parlay of them, right? And even better betting advice I can give you is anytime you feel like you really want to gamble, take that money, put it into DraftKings, don't touch it. Just leave it there like it's a bank account, man. By the time regular season starts, if you are that sort of degen that thinks you need to bet on preseason football, by the time the regular season starts, you're going to have a nice sum tucked away for your purse. We're at the 45-minute mark, 46-minute mark. So I really wanted to circle back to the four-leggers. The reason why I want to circle back to the four-leggers is because, as you know, as you saw just prior, I broke it up to mostly baseball, some football, all football, no baseball, and then a bit of both. I will start doing the dream parlays where I'll take 7 legs and I'll give a 7-leg parlay. We all throw like $2 down on it and see if we land it. If you're rolling pretty deep, go on in for like $20. Doesn't really matter. Do whatever you want. But for the 7-leggers, what I intend on doing is 3 risky picks, whether it's a risky underdog, a risky spread, or a favored spread. Doesn't really matter. Spreads themselves are just risky. And then the 4-leggers we normally talk about in the show. So for me, the Marlins 1.5 spread, Guardians 1.5 spread, and the Broncos under 40.5 is 3 legs that I like. The under 40.5 is really not that scary. I'd take the Nationals to win. I'd take the Mariners to win. And I think I would take the Dodgers to win. So that brings us to we can fit one more. Make a 6-leg into a 7-leg. Let's see what we got. I think I'd probably take do I have the Commander spread in there? I don't. I'll put the Commander spread in there. The 8.5. It's nothing crazy because I'm looking at it right now. That's the reason why I keep pausing. It's a $1,400, so $10 pays out like $1,490. So it's a pretty sizable payout. It's just that the things that worry me the most about this is obviously the spreads and the Mariners beating the Astros. I don't know why the Mariners are the underdog in that particular instance. Maybe it's due to the fact of just how shit ass they've been playing. But actually, let's take a look. Let's look into the game and see why they have them ranked so low. Oh, yeah. It's because offensively, they're just so dog shit. Who would have thunk? I still think that's a really safe bet. Safe in the sense of risky safe. There's definitions of risky safe. There's like pipe dream powerball bets. Then you've got like your risky safe bets where it's like, all right, there's a little bit of panache in there. You know, I can see the spark of something. And then you've got like guys that'll put 13 legs of just really feasible shit where like the average leg is like negative 380. However you choose to bet, I think every parlay needs an element of risk for it to come true. Just a little bit of spice, a little bit of magic. For us, in this instance, it's going to be that those spreads for the Marlins, for the Guardians, Nationals. The under for the Broncos game keeps dipping. Now it's at 38.5. So clearly they're adjusting it. I thought in the beginning that 40 was pretty fucking high, all things considered. Who knows? I could talk all this shit, and lo and behold, they have a banger of a game. It happens. Preseason's weird like that. For the last 10 minutes, I think that would be a great time to bring up the Yankees reach agreement on Poly Market. We were supposed to talk about it last show. We didn't get a chance to. What does this mean betting wise? I don't think anything great. You know, a lot of these teams, a lot of these franchises are trying to dip into the whole gambling industry. They're trying to find partnerships where they can get some sort of piece of that pie. And I get it. You know, these teams are business organizations first. What I do have issue with is sports will get ruined if at every turn you see gambling going with it. You know, I think it's a lot neater and nicer when it's just on DraftKings and FanDuel. I think if we eliminated all other betting apps like MGM because it fucking sucks of an app and all this crap, I think we would have a much better ability in disseminating gambling shit from sports shit. I have a lot of friends who believe sports betting is ruining sports. I can't agree to that for obvious reasons, but I understand it. And it makes it hard to contest that point when Yankees are willing to throw them up on their fucking billboards. You go into the shops and you see it all over the place. They have it on those little electronic feeders. There has to be some safe space from gambling. And of all places, it should be where the game is actually happening, you know? That said, it's hard to tell a business a moral decision. It's hard to tell a business that this could affect something as intangible as sports entertainment itself. To them, all they're going to see is dollar signs, profit margins. And then they'll come back with saying, oh, well, with the money we made from this, we can pay for better players. There's still no salary cap yet. I think it's all bullshit. You're a multi-million, multi-billion, really, program. To ask for more just seems like greedy. And to ask for more in the sense of shoving gambling down people's throats who may or may not be able to make that sort of self-conscious ability to keep it at bay. Like I think about all the time about how vapes eventually became a child-centric product, right? Like vapes became the thing that kids were smoking. And then tobacco switched its gears and said, okay, fine, cotton candy vape juice. And so it shot up with the teenager market. We're going to see the same with poly market, man. If 14-year-olds are going to go to a sports event and they're going to see like 7 different ads for, you can make $500 while sitting here. Fucking 15-year-old's going to think that's the shit, you know? And what the 15-year-old should be thinking is the shit is Garrett Cole having a shutout game with their team fucking doing a walk-off home run to win the game, you know? Like, that's what matters. All of us, we love gambling, but all of us, we're adults. We chose gambling. We open up our phones. We install DraftKings. So I definitely do have a bit of a gripe with the Yankees taking this deal. I do think a lot of other teams are going to do it, though. You know, you're going to see a lot of partnerships come down the line, and it's not going to be fun to look at least in my opinion. I'm not a huge let's advertise a vice, only because due to the nature of vices, people who want it are going to seek it out. You don't need to advertise it. Like bars don't have advertisements. People just go to a bar. Liquor stores don't have advertisements. They just go to a liquor store. I've never seen a fucking advertisement for cocaine. People still do it a ton. Do it in wedding bathrooms, for God's sakes. So vices as a whole do not need to be flaunted. I know that's going to sound super Puritan and super crazy and hypocritical coming from a degenerate gambler show such as myself, but, protect the kids, protect their bank accounts. We already sacrificed ours. With that in mind, I think I went on my soapbox for more than enough for the Yankees. Going into the last 5 minutes, we are coming up on the NFL, regular season, and I want to take this time to extend the opportunity. We really were hoping that this season's fantasy league is going to go great. We really want to be able to have that sort of content for you guys to chime in on, see our rosters. I know I'm going to be on Twitter allowing people to actually build my benches and my rosters once I've selected my team. So be sure to follow us on Twitter or X if that's what you call it. Be sure to tweet out where you think is going to happen for this particular preseason. If you have a particular team that you absolutely love, let's say you're a Giants guy, tweet out to me, hit me up out on Instagram, and I'll build a parlay purely around the Giants coming up or what have you. It's not so much that I am lost for creativity. I can always come up with a pipe dream of a parlay. I do that all on my own. It's like fucking breathing to me. It's more so that we're looking to get a little bit of fan interaction, You guys always seem to lurk on my X posts, but never seem to want to give a shout out. That tells me either you guys are living vicariously through our gambling or you guys all suck at it and you haven't won anything in the entire time that you've been watching. If that is the case, that has nothing to do with me, even though I'm the one giving the picks. I maintain no liability. Especially today's show, because today's show, pretty much all of my picks were risky underdogs. I didn't have any safe, this is a doable. The only safe one I think is the Dodgers, and that pains me to say because I really want the Brewers to win. Some people that I think will be great to look out for, just as a whole, going into this NFL preseason, going back to the NFL futures, is Tyler Algier. Tyler Algier was drafted to the Cardinals. Obviously, the Cardinals also have Jeremiah Love. Tyler Algier played for the Falcons last season. He is a fantastic number 2. He would be a starting running back on any other team. The Cardinals now have Jeremiah Love, so they're going to be doing that wombo combo. I really feel like Tyler Algier is going to pop off there. I'm just curious to see who's going to get more usage, more of the reps. David Montgomery on the Texans. It's going to be great. Will Anderson on the Texans. Look at him for sacks. I think Washington, the rookie running back that they picked up for the Raiders, I think he's going to be pretty decent as well in terms of yard gainage. From everything I've seen of his film, preseason training and the camps and in the game, they really used him to find the hole and just chomp down yards. Who else do I think is going to be someone to look out for? I know I just spent some time shitting on him, but honestly, Stephon Diggs with the Commanders. We know Jaden Daniels has a cannon, but he doesn't really have anyone to throw to except Terry McLaurin, and Terry's pretty much always injured. I know Marcus Mariota is going in today. I don't think Stephon Diggs is going in today, so if you're watching, you're probably not going to be able to catch Stephon Diggs. I have no idea why my face is getting shinier and shinier here. I feel like I'm about to turn into a star. We're at the last 2 minutes, so there's one last thing I wanted to give you guys a shout out about, is with the NFL season coming upon us, I always like to wrap up some of my shows with a little bit of gambling protection advice. Obviously, you see all the helplines, you see all that jazz, so you know that there are places to go get help if you need it. But as a whole, to protect yourselves, if you feel like you're going to go off the deep end, keep yourself on a weekly budget. $200, $100, doesn't really matter. It has to be whatever number you're comfortable with, cut that in half. Now, you may be saying to yourself, I don't have a gambling problem, and you probably don't. But I always like to operate from the stance when dealing with vices that have monetary consequences like gambling, is the stricter leash you keep yourself on, the further away from danger you get. I was at a bar with a friend of mine, over the weekend, and unfortunately he's going through some stuff, and we couldn't help but overhear 5 other guys on that bar. There's about 13 of us. 5 other guys are all experiencing the same problem. These games are meant to be games for you to make a quick extra buck on, maybe a tank of gas. You're not going to solve world hunger. You're not going to solve your entire life's hunger with this stuff. So be mindful, be reasonable, mind your bank account, mind your parlays, mind your spreads, stay safe, enjoy the preseason. Don't go heavy. Don't take money lines. It has been a pleasure to have you on here, and I will look forward to seeing you guys next Friday. Godspeed.